To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land, your land, your land, your land.
Lucid.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Explore the Mouse Podcast, a podcast by Disney lovers for Disney lovers. Come join us as we dive into the wonderful world of Disney.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Here is your host.
It's Casey.
And it's Eric.
Welcome to Explore the Mouse Podcast.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Explore the Mouse Podcast. I'm Eric.
I'm Casey.
And this is episode 26.
I can't believe we're at 26.
I know.
That's a half a year.
It is.
That's crazy.
Which I made a mistake last week. I said it was episode 26 on the actual writing of it, but it was episode 25. But if you're listening in the background, can you guys tell what we're going to be doing today? It is Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Oh, I love it. I
wish I could do like Donald's voice.
Yeah, I know, me too. It's such a really hard voice to do.
I know, it's hard. My dad used to do it when we were growing up all the time.
I've tried to do it. Like when I was trying to like do our intro for the podcast.
Yeah.
I decided to give it a whirl, and it was horrible.
Do you want to do it now?
No, I'm not even going to try it. So I did decide to give it a whirl, and it was horrible. So I decided to go onto a website that you could hire people for.
Yeah.
And I got someone to do the voiceover for me.
We're friends with Donald. It's fine.
We are friends with Donald. So Donald was actually the one that did it. But yeah, so we are going to be talking about Huey, Dewey, and Louie. And the only reason why we're going to be talking about that is because it is an anniversary. Huey, Dewey, and Louie were introduced back in 1937.
Oh my gosh.
Right around right now.
That's so crazy.
I know.
1937. It's so weird to think about.
Well, it is because if you think about it, because Huey, Dewey, and Louie were in a ton of Disney cartoons,
right.
Okay, but they really truly didn't get relevant, I guess you can say, until more of like the
I was gonna say like late 80s.
Yeah, late 80s. Yeah, probably late 80s, early 90s is when people really, really started to kind of, I guess you'd say, notice
their
them.
Own show and stuff.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that in a little bit as well. But we wanted to do something different. Casey's over here making a bunch of noise. We wanted to kind of do something just completely different, off the cuff, something that's still Disney, but something that people are like, wow.
Well, yeah, so we were talking to someone the other day who just saw our phone cases and said, what's Explore the Mouse? And so we were trying to explain to them, like, oh, it's a podcast that we have. We talk about Disney. And then we were like, it's not even just about the parks. It's not even just about Walt. It's not about the movies. It's not about just the current events. Like, we try to encompass it all. So when we come up with something, when we're just playing around online and go, hey, wait a minute, did you know that, next week is Huey, Dewey, and Louie's anniversary? It's like, well, why wouldn't we talk about it? Yeah. Because this all kind of started with, we just had these conversations and we finally said, why don't we record them for other people to kind of listen in on and give us their opinions?
Yeah, and the thing is that a lot of people don't know a lot of history about Disney.
Yeah. And
as you guys have learned on other episodes, is I love history, not just Disney history, but history in general. So I figured, why not bring some of this history to people? That's why I like to give you fun facts, even if we're just talking about like Fantasyland or something.
Yeah.
I like to bring some history behind it and give you some stuff that maybe you don't know about. And that's kind of why I think this is going to be a really cool one, because Huey, Dewey, and Louie, they're not just the nephews of Donald Duck. They're not just the great nephews of Scrooge McDuck. They truly have like a backstory.
Yeah.
Their names, like even a species of duck, which I'm gonna mention.
Wow, I did not even know that.
That's what I'm saying. There's so much to know. Like Donald Duck, actually his species is the same as Huey, Dewey, and Louie. So you'll actually get to learn Donald Duck's species of duck in this episode, which is kind of cool. But so we just wanted to bring that to you, and something totally new, something totally different, and maybe something where you guys are like, if you guys are at Disney next time and you see like Huey, Dewey, and Louie, which, by the way, is a very rare character meet and greet.
They're mostly in Disneyland Paris.
Well, yeah, they're Disneyland Paris, but they will come out sometime for...
You never know. Maybe we have some Parisian followers.
Well, that too, but we do have some... Well, maybe we do. I hope so.
Yeah.
If you guys are from like France, that area, let us know. Like, that'd be awesome to know if we have some.
I'm just saying that's where like you see them the most.
Correct,
because they're not really in the parks of the United States.
But they do come out over here when Disney does their 90s night.
Oh,
remember how they do their 90s night where everything goes 90? Darkwing Duck comes out, Scrooge McDuck, all that.
So many ducks.
Oh yeah,
the 90s were just full of ducks.
A lot of ducks, which is cool.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's so some Disney news.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
we always start off the episode with some current events.
Some Disney news.
So what's going on? Hit me.
So there's not a ton like from where we were last episode, but the big news is coming up very shortly, and I think it's before our next episode. Actually, no, it's not. It's after our next episode. Is Endgame's coming up?
Yes.
Endgame is like rounding the corner to its premiere.
We're getting a babysitter, y'all. I'm going to this movie.
Well, the good thing is I was just thinking about the dates, and I have a sister that's coming down to meet our daughter Harlow.
I'll leave her with the neighbor. I don't care. I'm going to see this movie.
Well, where I'm trying to get to.
The damn movie.
Where I'm trying to get to is that my sister's coming down here to visit, and I'm like, perfect. Babysitter.
Yeah.
We're good to go. We're just gonna skip out for this 4-hour movie. No, I think it's 3 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, 3 hours.
It's a 3-hour movie.
3 hours and 2 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's insane.
I can't wait.
But yeah, so we got that coming up, which is awesome. Disneyland Resort, even though it's a little bit early, Disneyland Resort announced a brand new Oogie Boogie Bash for Halloween.
How fun.
They're going to be doing a Disney Halloween party, and it's coming to California Adventure, and it's Oogie Boogie like base. So like he's going to be like the host of it all.
Is this a one-night event, or is it
it's
kind of like continual, like it's kind of gonna, Not So Scary party?
It's kind of going to be like Not So Scary Halloween, where it's going to continue kind of like through the holiday, I guess you can say, season.
Wow, that would be... Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's good. Wow. It is going to be a really cool thing that's happening over at Disneyland, which is awesome. And then another thing for Disneyland. Now, this is kind of a rumor, but it's not as much of a rumor as people are talking about it, but there's actually some stuff that's been leaked.
Okay.
That's a rumor. That Disneyland Resort is going to debut a whole brand new daytime parade starting in 2020.
What?
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal. Because the parades, well, I wouldn't say they're stagnant, but it's always good to reinvent parades. What?
I can't believe you just used the word stagnant in the same sentence as a parade.
Well, that's true. Well, have you ever been to Universal Studios? That's a stagnant parade right there. Holy moly.
Do a whole episode on that.
Oh, jeez. Anyways, that's
all I'm saying
is
if like Mickey didn't show up for the Disney parade, like we'd have a problem, right? Like that would not be normal if Mickey wasn't in the parade. That's kind of what happened on Universal Studios.
That is true. And Hollywood Studios is really amping up for its 30th anniversary, which starts May 1st.
Okay.
Which I think is going to be awesome. I wish we were able to kind of get down there and go experience some of the really cool things that they're going to be doing, but unfortunately we can't. But they're going to be doing a whole star-studded celebration with Mickey and all of his friends, and it's going to be starting at like 10 a.m. on the actual May 1st, so the actual day of the anniversary.
Oh, how fun.
Which is going to be really cool. They're going to have all different, and they're going to be releasing a ton of commemorative things. You can grab all different type of merchandise, maps, even a button. So if you guys collect Disney buttons when you go to the parks, you can get a one-off 30th anniversary button, which is going to be really cool.
And I'm sure they're going to have pins too.
Yeah, they'll have pins. Sure. They're going to have their hats and T-shirts which have like the logo on it, and the logo's it's all right. Well, I mean, the logo is just like the number 30 with like a bunch of stars and Mickey and some friends, which is cool, but. And then they're also going to have some, they're rolling out some brand new special anniversary food and beverage items, including Kylo Ren cupcakes, the incredible macaroons, Tres Leches Verine, and a bunch more. And again, we're not affiliated with anyone, but if you guys want to check out some more of that stuff too, you can check out Disney Food Blog.
They are the number one. If you are ever questioning and you want to see anything, like some really good pictures or just kind of get some good commentary, Disney Food Blog is where it's at.
Yeah, they got some really good content there. We don't even know that.
That's just where we go.
Yeah, but they do have some really, really good content.
Yeah.
And I don't think this was out. This is the last bit, is Star Wars, Episode 9. They released a trailer.
Yeah, no, we didn't talk about it.
Yeah, they released a trailer during the Star Wars celebration in Chicago just this past week. And so Episode 9 is slated at Christmas time, and it is called The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, so that puts us around Christmas time. So we just have to fill, like, there's a couple months between... September and Christmas?
Yeah, we were trying to figure out Disney's movie schedule, and it seemed like up into September?
I think we were at least August.
August, that's right, it was August. Up until August, Disney was releasing one brand new movie every month. So I'm not really sure what, and then we also have Disney Plus is going to take up a lot of time too.
That's November, but I think we're missing September, October.
Yeah, I think so.
Something will happen.
Either way,
something or other.
I'm excited. A ton of other Star Wars nerds are excited for
you little weirdos.
Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker.
You little weirdos.
Awesome.
It's great.
Anyways, let's get
your
to
lightsabers out, y'all.
I have one. It doesn't have batteries.
I know, it's sitting right behind me. Anyways, let's talk about some ducks. Shall we?
Let's get to Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Let's get to the ducking business.
Now.
So funny. I'm so funny.
If I had
people come here for my comedy.
If I had
that's why you guys are here, right?
If I had the little censor beep button, that would have just made that even 10 times better. Do you know their full names?
Oh, wait. I think I know Dewey's. There's something about Deuteronomy and Dewey's.
Yeah.
Dubert.
So the Quack Pack, which is them. Hubert is Huey.
Okay. Yeah.
Deuteronomy is Dewey.
Yeah.
And Lewis.
Well,
the duck.
Deuteronomy is Dewey's middle name.
Is it Duford?
Yeah, Duford.
Duford is okay. So Duford Deuteronomy.
Duford Deuteronomy.
Triple D
is his name.
Interesting. And
I'd go by Dewey too.
And their species is an American Peking duck.
Oh, like Chinese restaurants, the Peking house?
It doesn't have the G on the end, but it's the same. It's the same minus the G. So. Is that Donald and like Scrooge and Huey, Dewey, Louie hanging from Chinese restaurants?
Oh, that's so sad.
That'd be pretty sad. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh.
So to talk about some of their, because you're gonna hear some of these people.
Yeah.
Their relatives include Donald Duck.
Yeah, he's their uncle.
Yeah, and legal guardian according to Disney.
Yeah, there's an I know that.
Scrooge
that happened on an episode.
Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
Which is the great uncle.
He's their great uncle, right?
And then Della Duck, which is the mother.
Right.
We'll talk about Della Duck a little bit because a lot of people don't know about her. But Ludwig von Drake, a lot of people know Ludwig von Drake. He's been in his character's been in a ton of Disney cartoons and stuff.
You know if you heard him too.
Gladstone Gander, which is a first cousin, and Feathery Duck.
Yeah. It's spelt weird, but it's essentially feathery.
It's basically feathery duck.
It's just feathery.
Yeah, it's Petthry, I think. Yeah, something like that.
I think it's an F, but
I don't know. All I know is it's a really
it's essentially feathery duck.
And their nationality is American, which is really cool.
I did know that. I guess I didn't know that I knew that, but I did know that, you know.
So Huey, Dewey, and Louie, they debuted in 1937 in a Donald Duck. Not even a cartoon, Donald Duck comic. This is back in the 30s when Walt Disney and his animators were doing newspaper prints.
Yeah.
Which would have been really, really cool if you think about it. How cool would that be to kind of be opening the newspaper and all of a sudden see a
These
Disney
new
script?
characters.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of wish that we still had I don't know. Did you, as a kid, grow up reading the comics in the newspaper and then the Sunday paper?
Oh yeah, all the time.
I'm sure they still do it, but I wish that Disney cartoons, or what was it, Silly Symphonies? Is that what he had?
Yeah, Silly Symphonies. Yeah, I think it was Silly Symphonies. But they did have Donald Duck had his own comic strip.
Yeah.
In a lot of newspapers.
It would be so cool.
It would, and I love the comics, and like Sunday papers are the only ones that has comics now, and at the firehouse sometimes I'll even like read some old comics.
Yeah.
Because they still have a lot of old ones like Marmaduke and stuff. So
yeah, Family Circus. That was another one.
And that's still in there. But it would be really, really cool to open up one and see like a Disney one, which would have been so cool.
So do you know the name of the comic where the boys were introduced? Do you know what it was called? What it was titled?
They actually didn't have like a title. I don't think they did. It was just a 1937 Sunday newspaper.
No. I mean the strip for that week had a title.
Did it?
It was called. Are you ready, guys? Are you ready for this creativity? Donald's Nephews.
Oh.
Super creative.
Oh man, Walt Disney was such a genius.
Super creative. Super creative.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so Donald Nephew. That's pretty simple enough.
That's where they premiered.
So that's really cool.
I keep wanting to say episode, but that's not what it's called when it's a comic strip.
And then it was actually created because the funny thing about Huey, Dewey and Louie is that it wasn't even created by Walt Disney.
Oh no, he just owned them.
He owned the property rights to it because
who created it?
Oh, his name was Al Talia for like Pharaoh.
Oh, here we go again with Eric mispronouncing.
Hey, I never said I was like the greatest.
Oh, by the way, guys, we found out that it's not oob, it's ub.
It's ub.
Like tub.
Ub.
Thank you, Jessica.
Yes. We have a built-in like name fixer. Is that how we put it?
A corrector, because we can't pronounce anything, and she knows like a lot. So we'll have to just get her on for an episode where she can just tell us everything that we've. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. So many noises today, guys.
There's a lot of noises coming from Casey's side of the table because she just keeps banging her like
hitting my head on the microphone, banging my leg on the table. Like I'm a child right now.
So there's only so much I could edit out.
Anyways, we need to get Jessica on here because she does know so much that she could actually help us, because right now I don't even know that you're definitely not pronouncing that name correctly.
No, I guarantee.
Okay, so Walt didn't create them.
No.
He just owned them.
So
or I guess I should say Disney owned them.
A little bit of the, I guess you can say, like a little bit of the history, I guess, and the background of them was their actual mothers originally was supposed to be Dumbella, but they went with Della, which is perfect because Dumbella reminds me, it's like a female Dumbo.
Yeah, that's true. And Cinderella.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Dumbo and Cinderella had a baby.
Ew. And it was a duck.
It was a duck. Named Della.
You know, honestly, in Disney, I wouldn't be surprised. Here's the thing with the like old Disney stuff is there's no continuity.
No.
Because if you notice, like Huey, Dewey, and Louie, okay, so their mom has had two names. Because there was an episode or a comic strip, I'm not sure which one, where she was named Dumbella.
Yeah, that's true.
And then when they later explain why she's not present, because it's a Disney thing, so the mom is dead, or ish.
Missing.
Gone.
Yeah.
Whatever. When they explain that, her name is Della. And the boys are they're 10, they're in 5th grade, they're in the 1st grade, they're 17 and driving. Like, there's no continuity when it comes to these old Disney cartoons and comic strips.
No. Well, the way
like, was there no, I guess there was, obviously it's not like they could go in 1936 or 1937 and go type in the computer, like, what did we say was Donald's sister's name? There was just no record, or someone was like, oh, I don't know, I think it was Dumbella. Sure, write that down.
Well, because if you look at how the comic strip was they got sent to Donald to basically be their guardian,
right?
Until their father was out of the hospital,
right?
And then it was almost kind of like dumped. Like that it was like the whole idea was scrapped. Yeah. And then it was all of a sudden they were just Donald's nephews that he had custody over. Yeah,
there was like no more mention of their father.
No. And it was crazy. And then
which, do you know why their father was in the hospital in that one random episode?
No.
It's because they'd played a trick on him and they like set
the firecrackers.
Something. Yeah, they set like firecrackers off.
They set off firecrackers under the father's chair. That's right. So. Yeah, so the father was in the hospital, and then after that, there was never any mention ever of the parents in any of the comic strips or the animated shorts.
Okay, yeah.
So it was crazy.
When they got the show that they brought up Della.
It was interesting because there it is again. The case is just banging things. We should have a tally marker on this podcast episode.
Around. I'm not even moving. I just keep
just headbutting stuff. Her depth perception.
This microphone is huge. So.
So yeah, but it is weird though because that was the only time that was ever mentioned of the father.
It's just weird.
And
there's
just
a lack of continuity.
And then later on down the road, Della Duck makes a reemergence, which was just it was strange. Well, you never see that reemergence?
No, I remember finding out why she was gone, but I don't remember her ever coming back.
I think she recently came back in some new stuff. Oh. Because you got to remember they just reemerged, and then basically brought back Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and they kind of redesigned everything.
Did they mention this storyline from before of why she was gone? So if you're not familiar, it was supposedly, and this is maybe not 100% accurate because I don't always remember the details from when I was 7.
Yeah.
But Scrooge had bought her a spaceship or something.
Yeah, she was an astronaut.
When she had the ducks, they were in an egg. Mm-hmm. They were eggs. So it's not like she was pregnant. She found it anyways before he gifted it to her, and she went off into space or something like that. And then she was just never heard from again. So
her whole thing is she's described as Donald's cousin. There was only
one.
She
was his sister.
No, she was a cousin.
Are you sure?
Initially, she was first described as a cousin. This goes back to the whole continuity thing. Sure. So originally,
his cousin, his wife, and his sister. Cool.
Yeah. So Della Duck, born in 1920, is what her birthday was.
Okay.
She basically was originally described as Donald's cousin.
Okay.
And then later on, when Huey, Dewey, and Louie came into the storylines, she was described as his twin sister.
Okay, yeah.
Hence why Huey, Dewey, Louie. Yeah. So the continuity thing did not really flow.
Yeah.
And then you are right. She basically appears. There's only one time that she actually really appeared, and that was in the life and times of Scrooge McDuck. Okay. She appeared as a child next to Donald in the same outfit.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But then so basically Scrooge McDuck, basically kind of bought her something. She became an astronaut.
Guys, that one was Eric.
That was me. She became an astronaut, and then again, this is kind of where the continuity thing goes weird. Is that they said that Huey, Dewey, and Louie were orphaned as the parents died. So the continuity of it just did not really make sense.
Who knows?
But then this is where it gets even more confusing. Is Della Duck recently made an appearance in the newest season in 2017 of Ducktales when they brought Ducktales back.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying. I'm thinking, here's my theory.
I don't want to get into Ducktales too much. We're going to talk about that.
Here's my theory.
Yeah.
Hear me out. I think what Scrooge said happened, because there was an episode, I remember, Dewey was super upset and finally was tell me the truth about my mother. That was my best Dewey voice. Mm-hmm. And so Scrooge told him the story, and it was that he bought her this spaceship, and she found it and ran off and went into space and was never heard from again. So I'm thinking she Amelia Earharted this situation, and now she went up into space, and she was frozen in time for a hot bit, and now she's back in 2017. Now she's here to be their mom, and they're still in the 5th grade.
With
those ducks never grow.
With puberty voices. With puberty voices. And
I know, that's what's so confusing.
It's just it's crazy.
When they did Quack Pack, there was an episode where they got their driver's license. But 2 episodes before they were 10.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot all about that.
I don't know. Do ducks just have weird age progressions?
I don't know.
And regression?
That's a really...
Donald doesn't, so I think it's just that I think they're just whatever. It's whatever. People will believe whatever we tell them when it comes to Huey, Dewey, and Louie. And we'll always be guessing.
Yeah.
We always guessed what Wilson's face looked like. So I guess we're just going to always guess.
I like it.
How old Huey, Dewey, and Louie are. And who the hell is their mom and what happened to her?
That's true.
Are they
so
orphans?
if you guys ever, and just so we don't touch base on this too much, if you guys ever want to, just go and like Google like Disney Duck Family, and a whole bunch of stuff will pop up of literally the lineage and the family tree of like Donald. Because if you're huge into Disney like we are, and you love history and all that stuff, you will literally get a kick out of reading this, because there is just so many twists and turns and like loopholes. Including like why Donald Duck and Scrooge McDuck are like distant from each other, because a lot of people notice that there's not many cartoons. Like you look at DuckTales, the original one, and they weren't really together, you know? And it's because Donald blamed Scrooge McDuck for the disappearance of his sister. So it's just, there's so many like
really, it was her own fault.
It was her own fault. But it was really just all over the place, which was like crazy, and it is a really cool thing. But we're not going to go too much back into that because there is so much to touch base on. But I do want to talk about literally one of my favorite cartoons.
I've been singing the theme song in
of
my head
all
this whole time.
times. This one.
Go for it.
Ready? Yes.
It's so good.
Life is like a hurricane here in
Duckburg.
lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur.
It's such a good song.
Now I'm like really flailing around.
Literally, if we were like filming this, which by the way, we are planning on starting to film our episodes coming up here shortly.
You guys really need to see me flailing around right now.
You would see Casey flailing around like one of those like wacky inflatable tube men that you see at like car parks.
No, guys, it's so good.
Did I just call it a car park? I'm not even from England.
That's not even the right word if you were in England.
Yeah, parking lot's called a car park in England.
I think that's like a parking structure, not just a parking lot.
Oh, either way. Yeah, but her dancing's crazy. But DuckTales. I think DuckTales probably has to be one of the biggest cult like classics of Disney. Like especially in the 80s, like late 80s and early 90s. And the fact that they brought it back. Have you ever watched a new episode of the new DuckTales?
I haven't.
Okay, so it doesn't bring you like back nostalgic to the
just looking at the like screen grabs from it, I'm like, ugh.
But I do have to say is that it is funny because a lot of the dialogue and a lot of like the script that they wrote for it is very adult oriented. So it kind of brings you a little bit back to like, okay, I remember DuckTales and Duckburg and all that stuff.
Okay.
But then like some of the like the funny things in there, like there was an episode where like Huey, Dewey, and Louie were talking about something, and they're always into things and getting in trouble. And they make like reference to, they're like, we're no snowflakes, and like they use like modern like
you're gonna have to watch it.
Things that are going on. It's not bad.
Do you watch it with the baby and use her as an excuse?
No, because we usually are watching Bar Rescue and watching Uncle John.
And original Mickey Mouse cartoons. You guys watch
Oh, we watch that all the time. Yeah. If we're laying in bed, I pull up YouTube and they have like 3-4 hour like circuits or whatever, and of just original Mickey Mouse cartoons, and Parlo and I watch it all the time, which is fun. But yeah, so the original DuckTales premiered in September 18th of 1987. And they actually ran for over 100 episodes.
For sure.
Which was crazy.
If it was still on like the original, I would have watched it my whole life.
Oh, totally. And then it's based on Uncle Scrooge, as we all know, Scrooge McDuck, and other Duck Universe comic books, including Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Oh my gosh. Out of that show, who's your favorite character?
Oh, Louie, by far.
Okay, so you're actually going with Louie. Okay.
He's a little lazy.
Well, that's true.
I love him. He's mischievous. He's lazy. He's a moneymaker.
That's true.
I love him.
I'm going to go with Launchpad McQuack.
Oh, really?
Launchpad McQuack, I think, was probably one of my favorite. And, by the way, when Disney does that 90s night again, we have to make plans and go. Yeah. Because you get to see all of them, including, like, Scrooge McDuck, Darkwing Duck, Launchpad McQuack.
I do love Darkwing.
Darkwing Duck was the greatest. Oh, I should have put down. I wish I had.
No, because this episode's about Huey, Dewey, and Louie, not about the Duck family.
Yeah, no, but that song's awesome. But yeah, so I honestly, I think I would probably go with Launchpad, because I think Launchpad McQuack was just one of my favorites. Just like this.
Okay, but
pompous-
out of Huey, Dewey, and Louie, because that's who this episode's about, who would you
that makes sense.
pick? If you guys aren't familiar, so Huey is the oldest one. Yeah, I'm just going to give a little. So they're all, similar. So they made them identical triplets, and they all do have very similar attributes. They're very mischievous. Yeah. They get into trouble. They play a lot of pranks on pretty much everybody.
Which is why I love it.
Yeah. So Huey's the oldest. He's, out of the three of them, maybe the most nurturing, I guess you could say, for a 5th grader, 10-year-old, 2-year-old, 17-year-old duck. Dewey's like definitely the middle child. There was a whole episode about him, about Only Child's Day.
Yeah.
Like he sometimes wishes he was an only child. He's very family oriented, but he's very like, he hates being the middle kid. He's totally the middle kid.
Yeah.
And then Louie is the youngest. He's the laziest of the three, but he's like a Ponzi scheme kind of duck. Like if he can make money off doing nothing or making somebody else do it for him, that's how he's doing it. That's why I love Louie.
I don't want to say the same as you, because I do agree. I think Louie is like one of the best out of them. I think
I relate most to Dewey, but I think I love Louie the most.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like Dewey would probably be one of my favorites, but Louie is, because I think Louie is like the closest to how I was when I was a kid.
Yeah, you can relate more to
I can relate more to Louie because as a kid I was always like active, into things, like, getting yelled at, like all those fun things that Louie did. So I could relate to Louie, but I definitely like Dewey, like adult me. I'm like, okay, Dewey's kind of like, I can like I like that guy, Can you call him a guy?
I like that guy. I don't know how old he is, so sure.
Well, we already know how old they are in 1937, but
I'm really like just stuck on the fact that I don't know.
It's like Maggie Simpson.
Definitive answer.
It's like Maggie Simpson.
It's really, yeah, but at least we know Maggie Simpson has always been a baby.
Well, that's true.
Like these three are getting their license. They're going to first grade.
Well, that's true.
I'm just having a really hard time with that, but it is what it is.
Well, back to DuckTales. Okay. Because I think DuckTales, like I said, I think DuckTales is what Huey, Dewey, and Louie were really, really known for.
Yeah. Well, when you asked me and you said, what do you think of when you think of Huey, Dewey, and Louie? I said DuckTales.
DuckTales. Everyone does. Everyone thinks of DuckTales
That's like
because
the automatic go-to. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, you think about it, the four main characters of that was Scrooge McDuck, Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah.
They were on the artwork for it. They were a big part of the, the intro music for it.
Will you explain to everybody why? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was saying, and then plus they even had like DuckTales spin-offs, like the movie, The Treasure of the Lost Lamp.
Yes.
Which have you seen that?
Yes.
That was a really good one.
I love that one.
It was so good. And the cool thing too is that they really honestly paved the way with that for other things like Rescue Rangers from Chip and Dale, Tailspin. Remember Tailspin? Mm-hmm. Like, so they kind of paved the way with DuckTales.
Yeah.
And it really I guess you could say the best way to say it is that's where Huey, Dewey, and Louie made their mark.
Yeah.
They truly made their mark with DuckTales.
Yeah.
What was the question you had?
I was going to say, will you explain to people why because we know Donald had custody of them, but why they went to live with Scrooge McDuck in DuckTales?
So as we all know from the Donald Duck cartoons and the comics is that Duckburg is a real place, and that's where Donald Duck lived with his nephews, and it's also where Scrooge McDuck lives. So when Donald Duck went off to join the U.S. Navy, which he did in a series of cartoons during like the earlier years of World War II and stuff like that, Donald in the cartoon went off to the Navy, so Scrooge McDuck was basically enlisted by Donald to take care of the kids.
I just wanted to...
Yeah. And that's kind of where, I guess you could say that's kind of where DuckTales comes in. Mm-hmm. DuckTales comes in, and that's why Donald Duck is not in.
Right.
Oh, was he in any episodes?
I think he does a couple cameo appearances.
Maybe, but he wasn't in it.
He's not a presence.
Like, you don't think of DuckTales and think of Donald Duck.
No.
And that's a big reason why is because DuckTales was like supposed to be during that time that Donald Duck was at war.
Yeah.
And in the Navy.
Yeah.
So, that is pretty much how Scrooge McDuck got the kids.
Yeah.
And it was funny because he almost didn't do it in the comic book strips. Scrooge McDuck didn't want to take the kids because of how hyperactive they were. And obviously we all know Scrooge McDuck, very stingy, likes his money, likes him, and he almost didn't do it.
Yeah.
But he did. So thank you, Scrooge McDuck. That was very nice of you.
Thanks, Scrooge.
We wouldn't have Ducktales if you said no.
Yeah.
Who knows what we would have had? But yeah, so it was a really cool. It was a really cool thing, and then just from like how the other characters got introduced, like Launchpad McQuack, he got introduced because he was Scrooge's pilot, and the really cool thing about it is that like his relationship with Huey, Dewey, and Louie was a fairly dynamic one, because even though he was like this pompous, can I say pompous pilot, of like a really fun pilot, but really really into himself.
Yeah.
He had a good relationship with Huey, Dewey, Louie, and they actually almost listened to him. It was kind of like the one time where, I mean, they still pulled their pranks and tried to do things, but Launchpad McQuack was kind of like that one guy that Huey, Dewey, Louie almost kind of looked up to.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of cool, because a lot of the comic books, everyone pushes them off as these pranksters that just got in trouble constantly.
Yeah.
And I just think that was a really cool, different dynamic that they did in DuckTales.
Yeah.
With the relationship that he had. Duckworth. You remember Duckworth? He was the butler in DuckTales.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have to go back and watch DuckTales. Like the original. I didn't,
because this whole episode was just specifically about Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
I know, but
now you're like doing a whole episode on DuckTales, and I would have watched a couple episodes to just remind myself.
Well, it kind of got like rabbit holed into DuckTales, or rabbit holed,
yeah,
rabbit holed into DuckTales, just because I just kind of reignited my flame of love for DuckTales. Plus, I mean, Huey, Dewey, Louie. I mean, we can talk about it. They're part of DuckTales. I mean, there's not much you can talk about. So I figured I'd talk about some of the other people in it too.
So beyond DuckTales,
they had that
show Quack Pack.
Quack Pack, yes.
So that was them as like, I don't know what age, but teenagers-ish. Yeah, they were grown. They were teenagers. Like in the 5th grade. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure they were teenagers in.
They got their driver's license.
That's right, they did. So they were teenagers in Quack Pack.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. At least in Quack Pack, they were dressed differently, and they like looked like little mature ducks. I guess, if that makes sense. Like their stance, and they had like their own fashion sense.
So
They were different. You could tell that they were grown up. I didn't personally really like Quack Pack, but
I was about to say I have to kind of, I guess you could say, give a little confession, is that I never really watched Quack Pack.
Oh, okay. Well, it was like it didn't really last that long. But I remember like they did. They were in a band, and they were the Quack Street Boys.
That's right, the Quack Street Boys.
And they were a different couple band names. They were the like Stacking Pumpkin, Splashing Pumpkin. I think it's Splashing Pumpkin.
I'm trying to look it up right now.
Yeah, they always
didn't
curious. Always. The name of the band changed because screw continuity when it comes to the Ducks. I mean, it's just a ducking joke. You guys laugh, right? Anyways, for the most part, they were the Quack Street Boys. I just will always remember that. I didn't really love the show. They all had different like ways of dressing. They got rid of their hat. I think only Huey wore a hat.
Yeah.
From there on out.
Right. He's the green. He was always
the
in
red
green.
One. No. Dewey's in green.
Dewey's green. He's the only one that wore the hat.
Okay. Well, so they're not always wearing hats anymore.
Yeah.
And they had like different styles. Like one was in a sweatshirt.
It was very hip.
One was in like a vest.
It was very 90s too. Like it was, like baggy shorts and like.
Yeah, but I don't care what they were wearing. I'm just talking about they kind of made an emphasis on their different, their individuality.
Yeah. Okay.
In this more than they did in DuckTales.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, this is kind of where they really stepped out from being the triplets and being the twins. Yeah, I get if I can see that. And I've definitely seen a couple episodes before, because the Quack Street Boys, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
But I could agree. They've definitely kind of stepped out from that. But
I just didn't love it. So I'm glad that they brought back Ducktales instead of
So Ducktales, the new Ducktales is on Disney XD. Which I didn't realize that even had that. I thought it was just Disney Channel still, but apparently there's all these different Disney's channels.
Is Disney XD like the kids did Disney Junior?
It's more like Disney Junior. Like it's not like it's above it's above like the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Oh, well that's Disney Junior.
Yeah, it's above Mickey's Clubhouse and like below like the old Hannah Montana crew.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That's a perfect place for
elementary
DuckTales
school, maybe.
To be back.
I'd probably say elementary school was probably a good one.
That's a good place for DuckTales.
Yeah. But yeah, so since then, they've been in a ton of stuff. They're in the new Kingdom Hearts games. And then I did look it up because I wanted to kind of double check on the parks and attractions.
Yeah.
And actually, Huey, Dewey, and Louie only appear at Tokyo Disney and Disneyland Paris.
I knew they were in Paris. I didn't know. Okay, so they're really only ever
they're
overseas.
Exclusive. Yeah. So I thought you might see them over here on special events like 90s and stuff like that.
You don't.
And you
Not
don't.
even
They
on those nights?
nope.
Oh,
they
wow.
are exclusively.
Guess we gotta go to Tokyo.
Yeah, they're exclusively to Disneyland Paris and Tokyo.
Wow.
And from what I found out, is that most of their stuff is only during Christmas and Halloween parties.
Oh, because they look cute in little Christmas sweaters.
Yeah, so that's it. They don't. Oh, I'm sorry. And they come out with one other one. They come out in something called Disney's Fantalusion Parade, which is Disneyland Paris.
Ooh.
And you could see them in like glittery outfits, but that's it.
Ooh.
Other than that, like you can't really see them anywhere, which I think is crazy. Because I would love to like see Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Okay, but like let's think about this. If the park had every character that everyone wanted to see, there'd be no room for guests.
I know, but you would think at some point, like even over here, like whether it was Disneyland
They're
or
part
Disney
of the classics.
Yeah.
I feel like they should be out.
You know, you would at least think that maybe they would be over in this direction. I don't know.
Think that.
But I guess if you go into Disneyland Paris or Tokyo, that's the only place to see them. But
I was going to say Toontown in Disneyland, but I guess since they live in Duckburg, I mean, Toontown's in the same like
but it's
realm.
But it's not Duckburg.
They don't. Yeah, but Donald goes to Toontown.
Well, that's true. And doesn't he have a house in Toontown?
Doesn't he live? Yeah. Maybe
well, in the comic book strip, he lives in
stage
Duckburg.
of his life.
Yeah, this is retirement with Daisy.
Yeah.
You know, but
or maybe Donald's just wealthier than we thought because of Scrooge McDuck. No, Scrooge McDuck doesn't share. Maybe
now we are
just stealing money from Scrooge McDuck, and he has 2 homes.
You know what? I like that.
Yeah.
We're going to just start making up our own fan theories on this podcast and just kind of come up with fun stories.
You came here to hear about Huey, Dewey, and Louie, but here's my opinion on Donald Duck and Toontown.
Oh, you're gonna get? Oh, that was your opinion.
That was it. I'm not gonna repeat it. They just heard it.
Well, when it comes to Huey, Dewey, Louie, there is a lot. Like I said, there's a ton of background, and I mean, this podcast could be 2 hours long if we talked about the whole background and the little inner workings of like their family tree and everything like that. And we don't have that time.
It could be 4 hours long if you wanted us to keep bunny trailing.
True. That's about 2 hours. Yeah, there's definitely 2 hours of bunny trailing.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to like check out more of this stuff, honestly, just go to Google. And I know it's kind of cheap, but like
the worst podcast host.
It's not the podcast. Wow.
Thanks for listening. Why don't you just Google it?
Because here's the thing. I thought about writing a blog about Huey, Dewey, Louie and the family tree, but it is so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's so like extensive. Yeah. It's so extensive and there's so many like twists and turns that it wouldn't be a blog.
Well,
it would
that's
be like,
what happens when you have a
article.
lack of continuity.
And like, you know, the whole point of the blog on our website, which is explorethemouse.com, by the way, is to really just keep things short and sweet with like pictures and videos and stuff.
So Google it.
And this would have honestly been like a 3-page article if I really would have wrote.
It was just funny that you were like, I don't know, just maybe Google it.
Yeah, just Google. I mean, that's only if you're really interested.
Thanks for coming here.
Well, jeez. She is like the worst co-host right now.
I know. I just I flail around and hit my head on the microphone, and I just make Eric feel bad.
Yeah, she makes me feel bad.
Sorry, guys.
But no, like if you really are interested in that like full story, the internet's the only way to really go and find that, because there's people that have written like really
timelines,
actual broken down
every
family
appearance.
Tree timelines,
yeah.
And I'll be honest, I'm not going to do that because it's already done for me.
Yeah.
So why not go on the internet and check it out?
Yeah.
But it's a really cool like background of like the Duck family. So go check it out if you guys really want to. If you don't, oh well, just take this podcast for what it is. But
well, I mean, we still talked about who they were, and
we talked about who they were, kind of how they got their
appearances
start, a
and
little
stuff.
bit about their family, which is cool, and that literally just scratches the surface. So that is it for Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, one thing I forgot about Webby.
Webby.
Well, in Ducktales, it was Scrooge's like housemaid's daughter, Webby.
How do you not remember Duckworth, but you remember Webby?
I don't know.
Duckworth was like in every episode, like he was the like butler.
I said I remembered it once you brought him up.
Oh, okay.
I just forgot his name. McBeaky or McBeak was his maid, and her daughter's name was Webby. She was the girl. She was always kind of like the joke, like that she was a quadruplet.
Okay, we're gonna have to go back and watch DuckTales now, because now like there's so much stuff that I thought I knew, but like I'm like I don't remember her? I don't remember them now.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. Okay. You gotta remember, DuckTales ended in 1990. I probably haven't seen it since like 95.
Yeah, well, I was born in 1992, and I knew that. So.
Yeah. Anyways, that is it for Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Thank you guys so much for listening. We have a lot of cool content coming up in our next, I guess you can say, series of episodes.
Yeah.
So stay tuned to explorethemouse.com for that under our podcast schedule. I haven't released it yet, but I will shortly. And you guys will get to see all of the upcoming episodes that will be leading us into the summer, which I am super excited about. And go see Avengers, if I forget to mention it again. So go see Avengers Endgame. It's going to be awesome. Because
we want to talk about it as soon as possible.
Yes.
And I don't want to do spoilers for anybody. So go see it ASAP so we can talk about it.
Yeah, so Endgame will be an upcoming episode. That's probably the only teaser that I can give you. So,
sorry.
Yeah. So
come on, like we weren't going to talk about it.
That's true. But go see Endgame so we can talk about it as quickly as possible. Stay tuned to, like I said, the website for all the scheduling. And that is about it. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you guys later.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to Explore the Mouse podcast. We invite you to fill your week with everything Disney by checking us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Explore the Mouse. Also check us out at explorethemouse.com, where you can find amazing photos from our trips, our blogs, and information regarding upcoming episodes. Have a magical day, and we'll see you next week.